Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to Puan Mastura, okay, Guru Bidang SMKA Haji Md Yasin. Okay, our guest today, Puan Nur Atika Ismail, an experienced English teacher from Sekolah Menengah Sains Kota Tinggi, and to all Form 4 students of SMKA Haji Md Yasin. Okay, we are so blessed today because we all are gathered together to attend a writing workshop that can help you in your SPM for 2022. Okay, I hope all tips given from by Puan Atika can help you a lot for you to writing an excellent essay. Okay, without further ado, I will pass the session to Puan Nur Atika Ismail. Okay, Puan Atika, you can continue the session. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Puan Adlina, for that quite warm introduction. My name is Nuratika Md Ismail, and I'm from Sekolah Menengah Sains Kota Tinggi. All right, for today, we are going to learn about CEFR-KSSM writing, and before we go into that, I would like to just express my gratitude to Ustaz Azhar, the principal of SMKA Haji Md Yasin, Cik Mastura, the head of language department of SMKA Haji Md Yasin, and also Cik Adina just now for inviting me for this kind of talk. Okay, so today, just like what we've been introduced just now, we are going to go through CFR-KSSM writing workshop. Okay, so since this is a workshop, I would expect some sort of participation from the students that we have here. So what I need you to do is that if you could look at this, okay, if you have quizzes in your device, either your mobile phone or your laptop, if you could just enter this game code, and we'll be able to, you will be able to follow this presentation by having to have your slides as well as quizzes to respond to any of the questions that I've asked. Okay, so let's make this as interactive as possible. Okay, if you could just join in those quizzes, that'll be great. We'll give you like 1 minute for you to join in the quizzes, and then we will start our session. Okay, before that, let me just remind you that in the live chat section, you are able to give comments or even ask questions. Okay, so if you have any questions, just straight away ask in the live chat section, and then I can address the questions. Okay, all right. So I'm seeing so far not one have actually joined the quizzes. If you could just join in the quizzes first before we start our lesson, that would be great. Okay. Okay, I think if you could just screenshot the details of the quizzes, that would be great. And then we can start the sessions promptly. Okay, I think that it's appropriate for us to start now. Okay, let's try. Okay, I'm trying to figure out why is it not moving. Okay, give me a little bit more time. Okay, I can see that 8 of you have already joined. Okay, 9 of you, good. So if I can get more, there'll be more fun. Okay, all right. Okay, I think we are able to start now. Okay. Okay, just like I've mentioned just now, this is going to be focusing on CEFR-KSSM. Okay, so if you have, I think that for your batch, you are the first batch of KSSR as well as KSSM. Okay, so what you can do now is that you need to be able to adjust your mindset when it comes to essay writing. Okay, so if you have learned CFR syllabus, they are all very task oriented, meaning to say that it's very important for you to be able to fulfill the task and also to deliver it fluently as well as effectively. Okay, they're not just looking for long essays or what we call less than a good direction of an essay. Okay, because I noticed that when it comes to English essays, especially Malay students, they always think that the longer the better. But for CFR-KSSM, they did not exactly looking at that. They look at how effectively you are communicating your thoughts. Okay, so let's have that mindset change first before we even begin to understand how to write for CFR-KSSM. Okay. Okay, so for SPM English 2021, which is going to start this year, but for you it's 2022, we are still using the same code, 1119 paper 2. Okay, so paper 1 would be reading and use of English, and paper 2 would be writing. Okay, so paper 3 will be listening, and paper 4 will be speaking. So you need to be aware that you have 4. You have 4 papers of SPM English to be aware of. Okay, it's not just writing. You have reading and use of English. Okay, it could be reading, vocabulary, grammar, and all those things being tested for paper 1. But for paper 2, it's going to be about writing. Okay, so today it's going to be about writing. Okay, let's try one question before we begin. Okay, how confident are you with your writing skills? You can key in your answer. You have 23 seconds left. Okay, let's look at which one that you think most of you pulled in or vote in for. Okay, most of you answered somewhat confident, meaning that you're not exactly quite very confident, but you have that little bit of confidence, which is good. Okay, and some of you are very confident, and that is good. Confidence is very important when you're writing an essay, because when you are confident, you are willing to take risks and use effective vocabulary, accurate grammar to express your thoughts. Okay. However, there are 4 students who think that they are not very confident, which is fine. That's normal in second language speakers. So if you could do that, if you could just, I hope that by the end of this lesson or even workshop, you'll be able to improve your confidence. Okay. All right. Let's look at the next slide. Okay, for your writing paper, okay, you have 3 parts. Okay, the first part is a short essay. Okay, so this is something that you have already seen and did in your PT3. Okay, so you have 80 words of short essay. It could always be a short email or a short message. Then they have specific task, right? Meaning to say that if they want you to write something, they want you to write about a particular thing. Okay, for example, it could be talking about choosing one hobby for a friend, or planning for a holiday, that sort of thing. Okay, so they are very specific. For part 2, they have factual essays. Okay, factual essays, they are normally 125 to 150 words. This is quite similar to your PT3 part 2. I noticed that you didn't sit for your PT3, but I think you're already aware of how PT3 part 2 is. Okay, they are normally 120 to 140 words. And for SPM, they expect you to write 125 to 150 words. Okay, so for factual essay, they have specific prompts. Just like in your PT3, they have specific prompts to follow. Prompts means arahan lah. Okay, for instance, they have specific bullet points to follow. Okay, after part 2, you have part 3. Part 3 is the longest part of an essay. Okay, it's 200 and 250 words. Okay, and it follows a specific genre. Okay, compared to part 1 and part 2, part 3 is more of genre-specific writing. Okay, what does genre means in Malay? Okay, genre here means jenis lah, jenis karangan. Okay, in KBSM we used to call it format. Okay, for CFR we call it genre. Okay, so genre, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 types of genre that you need to be able to write. Okay, it could be a story, it could be a review, it could be a report, article, and formal letter. Okay, so what's so special about part 3 is that part 3 is normally they give you 3 questions and then you can choose one. As compared to part 1 and part 2, you don't have any choices. Okay, for part 1, you need to answer that one particular question. Part 2 as well, that one particular questions you have to answer. But for part 3, you have choices. Okay, so you never know lah which of this genre will be tested. Okay, but they will test you based on this 5 genre. Okay, so you need to be able to know how to write these 5 genre. Okay, like I mentioned just now, part 3 is a bit critical because it's the longest. Okay, so the longer the essay, the higher the tendency of you to make mistakes. So it's very important for you to know what type of genre first before you actually manage to write them. Okay, so far, let me check if there's any question in the live chat section. Okay, I would just like to remind you, if you have any question, you may able to write them on the live chat section. Okay, that would be great. I love my students to be able to use the live chat section as well to ask questions or even give comments. Okay, I mean appropriate comment lah. All right. Okay, now we are done with this. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay. Okay. All right. These are 4 aspects. Okay, when examiners mark your paper. Okay. It's very important that you know all these 4 aspects. Okay. You know why? Because if you know what examiners want, it's easier for you to fulfill the needs of the question. Okay. And for CFR, for writing, they wanted these 4 elements to be perfect. Okay, so the first element is the content. Okay, so content here means that did you write what you were asked to write? Okay, so meaning to say that did you answer the question, or did you just flail around or drag your story without actually addressing what the question wants? Okay, that is content. Meaning to say that if they say that plan a holiday to somewhere and give 3 reasons for your choice. So you need to be able to write about that 3 reasons. Okay. Number 2, communicative achievement. Okay. Communicative achievement, or what your teacher would use CA as a short form, is about the tone of your writing. How does it feel as a reader when they read your essay? Is the writing too formal or too informal or just right? Okay, I give you an example. If the question say that write a short email to your friend asking an opinion of him about the new school that you are in. Okay, so if that email is wanting you to talk about a friend, so you are going to use informal language. But for instance, the questions if the question wants a report, okay, especially in part 3. Okay, so say write a report to your city council about the development of tourist attractions in your area. So that will be formal. Okay, so that is what communicative achievement is. Whether that language being used in the whole essay is formal or informal. Okay, we will delve deeper on that later. Okay, number 3 is organization. Okay, organization is what we can do here for organization is that you need to be able to understand that you need to use a good sequence connectors, or what you call conjunction, to make sure that your sentences make sense. Okay, so for organization, did you link paragraphs and sentences? Okay, did you use and, but, or, so? Okay, those are included in organization. Okay, so second thing about organization is there a logical flow from start to finish? Means, would there be what we call, would your essay make sense? Okay, for instance, if you use paragraphing skill, does your paragraphing skill make sense? Okay, ataupun kemahiran awak membuat perenggan, okay, does it make sense? Alright, and then the last one would be language. Okay, language is the most feared element, I think, especially when it comes to CFR, because we are talking about grammar and vocabulary. So if we are marking about language, we would think, as an examiner, did you show off your sparkling vocabulary? Sparkling vocabulary means that did you use good words? Okay, I'm not talking about bombastic words. Okay, don't get me wrong. Bombastic words is something that has been misunderstood throughout the years by the students. Okay, vocabulary in CFR means that, are you using the right vocabulary for that kind of writing? Okay, for example, if you're writing for a picnic with a friend. Okay, so when you're talking about picnic, you are not going to talk about vocabulary about being in a class or perhaps being in a lesson. Okay, you are going to talk about things that are around picnic. So for example, you're talking about snacks, or you're using vocabulary like volleyball. Okay, all those things that are linked to vocabulary. Okay, so if you didn't have all this, perhaps you don't have, you can't remember the vocabulary for picnic or things like that, you tend to go to use basic words. Okay, there's nothing wrong when using basic words, but if you're using that, that will be very difficult for you to get a high mark on language. And then for grammar, as always, did you make lots of grammar and spelling mistakes? Okay, so if you do make a lot of grammar and spelling mistakes, then your band will be lower lah for language. Okay, let me remind you that for each of these elements is 5 marks. Okay, so for content, if you answer all the questions needed, all the required tasks, you are going to get 5. Okay, number 2, for communicative achievement, if your essay sounds right, if it feels appropriate to the tone of the essay, you're going to get 5. Also with organization, if everything flows nicely, you're going to get 5. And language, if there's minimal grammatical mistakes and also appropriate vocabulary being used, you're going to get 5. Okay, so if you're not able to get a 5, aim for a 4 for each of the element. Okay, so I will tell you how you will achieve that later on. Okay. All right, another quiz. If you can just key in your answer later. Okay, what are the items considered when a language mark is awarded? Okay. What are the items considered when a language mark is awarded? Okay, 4 of you already answered. You have 15 seconds. Okay, let's look at the statistics. Okay, the leaderboard. All right, congratulations, Yasmin Hanani. You got the highest point so far. Okay, so the answer is a grammar and vocabulary. Okay, linking words and connectors for 5% who answered that. Those are for organization. Okay, all right, let's look at the next slide. Okay, this is an example of an essay for part one. Okay, question for part one. Okay, this is quite similar to your PT3 question. So, for good students like all of you, I think that this should not be a problem. Okay, so but the problem with good students is that they tend to be careless. Okay, so to stop yourself from being careless, this is what I tell my students to do, and I'm sure your teacher have taught you this as well. Okay, let's look at the question. Okay, question one. You received an email from your new friend Amy, who has just moved to your hometown. Okay. Hi, the school holiday is finally here. Let's go for a picnic with our friends. Where shall we go and what can we do there? What should we bring? Okay, I'll be waiting for your reply. Bye. Okay, so now write an email to your friend in about 80 words. Write your answer below. Okay, so if you can see that, there are three things that they wanted in the essay. Okay, they want where should they go, and what can we do there? Okay, what can we do there means that this person wants a suggestions of activities when they are going for picnic, and what should we bring? Okay, so meaning what are the items that they could bring in this picnic? Although part one is very easy, you need to remember that this is the shortest part of an essay. Okay, so do not spend too much time on writing part one, okay, because they're only for 80 words. All right, let's look at the next slide. All right, another quiz. Okay, let's try this one. When writing for an email to your friend, what kind of language would you use? Oh, well. All right, Yasmin Harani is already in the second place. Okay, very good. Okay, so when you're talking to a friend, of course, you need to use informal language. Okay, that's very good. Most of you are listening. Okay, right, let's look at the next one. Okay, this is an example of the essay. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see. If you can't, you can perhaps screenshot them and then look at on your own device. Okay, right, let's look at the first one. Okay, hi Amy. I'm so glad that you have brought this up. Okay, that's a very good phrases. Brought this up means menceritakan lah ataupun mengingatkan saya. Okay, you have brought this up as I had nothing planned for the holidays. Okay, I am totally excited and I know just the place for our picnic. It will be at Central Park, just beside East Road. We could also play ball there as the park is huge. Don't forget to bring an extra mat to place our foods on just in case I lost mine. Don't worry about the supplies. I can handle them, though you could bring some snacks if you would like to. The more, the better. I was also thinking that we could have Jack and David come. It will be more fun with them around. All right, do update me if something comes up. Bye. Okay, so for this type of writing, this is something that the examiner will give a perfect score. Okay, the content is 5. Okay, the candidate is talking about a picnic. There's nothing suspicious about it. It's all about picnic. There's nothing different about it. Okay, and then for communicative achievement, the examiner is giving 5 as well. Okay, if you can see that the phrases that have been used, okay, to show how informal that that this person have the relationship this person has with the receiver is if you can see the phrases there. For instance, I know just the place for our picnic. Okay, so that kind of phrase is something that we use informally. We don't use that phrase for our superior, for our principal, or even for our teacher. Okay, the phrase like we could also play. Okay, those are examples of informal language. All right, that's next one will be organization. Okay, as you can see there, although they don't use a clear organization, like for example, besides, furthermore, moreover, nevertheless, okay, but this person managed to use conjunctions quite well. For example, I'm so glad that you have brought this up as I had nothing planned for. Okay, that is one of the examples. Okay, also, just in case I lose mine, don't worry about the supplies, I can handle them. Okay, the use of punctuation really helps with the organization. Okay, and also the language, if you can see there are minor mistakes or errors on the essays, on the message, but they are not that glaring. Okay, so this is what we call a perfect score for part 1. Okay, before I move on, let me check if there's any question in the live chat section. Okay, any question? I've been promoting you to answer question, to ask question on the live chat section. So far, not yet. Never mind. Okay, I'll continue. All right, let's look at the next slide. Okay, the next slide is okay. This one is a bit small. I'm going to read it out for you. Okay. Hi. Okay, do not write hi like that. HYE. Do not do that. Write a normal hi. HI. Okay. Hi. I've been received your email yesterday. Also, wanting to this school holiday, I would to join you to go a picnic at Sungai Cabai waterfall. I think that can be a perfect place for to us because they have a beautiful nature and fresh environment. Okay, Sungai Cabai waterfall also suitable for our picnic because at there we can do a barbecue. I'm so excited for that. You should bring a lots of snack and radio for you to enjoy the moments. It must will be great memories for you. Okay, and then see you soon. Okay, for this kind of essay, as you can see, I'm quite struggling to read this essay because the language, the organization, is a bit chaotic. Okay, so if you can see there, the content, no problem, because this person has talked about the place. Okay, where should they go for a picnic? He also talked about what activities that they can do there. Okay, mentioning barbecue, and also he mentioned the items that they could bring. Okay, snacks and radio. So no problem. Content will always be 5. If you follow whatever the question wants you to do, you get 5. Okay. For communicative achievement, because as you can see, I was struggling to read just now. Although it's quite clear that this person is talking to a friend. For example, the phrases could be, I think there can be perfect, fresh environment. Okay, so those are what we call quite appropriate to the tone of the writing. So this candidate get a 4. Okay, for organization, okay, this person gets a 3 because it's very difficult to follow. It's quite difficult to follow the writing. Okay, and the language is also 3. Okay, so because again, it's quite difficult to follow the essay, and there are a lot of mistakes there. Okay, so as you can see, for part 1, it's not that difficult to get marks. Okay, because for part 1, you are only required to achieve up until B1. Okay, B1. For Form 4 and Form 5, you're supposed to be at B2. Okay, so for part 1 is almost like your PT3 level. Okay, right. No questions yet? Okay, all right, let's move on. I think we have another quiz coming in. Okay. Okay, the following are the suitable vocabulary for an email about a picnic. except, kecuali. Okay, let's see who's leading. Well, Naila is chasing Yasmin. Okay, let's look at your answers. Right. Okay, the following are the suitable vocabulary for an email about a picnic, except, okay? So I think quite a number of you actually fell into that trap. Okay, they're asking what is the vocabulary not for picnic. Okay, so the answer is classroom, stationery, or chair. It doesn't have to do with a picnic. But for waterfalls, supply snacks, or park sandwiches and volleyball, they are talking about a picnic. Okay? All right. Let's look at the next slide. Okay, now we are moving to part 2. Okay, part 2 is about a factual essay. Okay, so a factual essay with prompts. Okay, so let's look at example of questions of part 2. Okay, your class has been discussing how they spend their money, and your teacher has asked you to write an essay about what you would spend your money on. Okay, in your essay, you should write about what you would like to buy, reasons for your choice, where do you usually buy these things. Okay, so as you can see that there are 3 prompts there. What you would like to buy, reasons for your choice, or where do you usually buy these things. Okay, so when you are writing an essay, please bear in mind that you need to address all these 3 prompts that has been stated in the question. Okay, next, write your essay using all the notes and giving reasons for your point of view. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay. Okay, we all need money. Okay, this is one of the examples, and this is another a perfect score for this type of essay. As you can see, it's not very difficult to get a strong marks. You just need to follow exactly what the question wants, or instinctively know what language or organization or even communicative achievement that they expected from you. Okay, let's look at this sample answer. Okay, we all need money in order to buy something that we like. Okay, nothing is free in this world. Therefore, when we have money, we need to use it wisely. Okay, if it is spent on the things that we don't need, we will waste our money. There are a lot of good and worthy things you can buy, for example, food, clothes, and books. Okay, as for me, if I have money, I would like to buy a guitar. An acoustic guitar has been on my wish list since I started watching song covers on YouTube. I've been dreaming of playing it, but I haven't had enough money to purchase it. Okay, so the reasons why I want to buy a guitar is because I love music. Okay, I know how to play the piano before, but I want to learn something new. It would be amazing if I got to play more than an instrument. Okay, moreover, I want to learn how to play the guitar by myself. I can do that by watching tutorials on YouTube. In that way, I don't have to waste money on guitar lessons. Okay, so how does this person get a 5 for content? Okay, so this person, okay, he talks about all these things. Okay, what would you like to buy? Okay, that person mentioned an acoustic guitar. The reasons of his choice: he wants to learn how to play guitar, and he started liking that because of the song covers on YouTube. And where do you usually buy these things? Okay, he mentioned about a shop, I think. Okay, all right, so for content, then no problem, all 5. Okay, so like I mentioned, for good students, content should not be a problem unless you're being careless. Okay, that is normally the problem with good students. Okay, cognitive achievement. Okay, as you can see there, if you could see the tone of the essay. Okay, for instance, the use of phrases like Let me find. Okay, let me find the cursor thing. Okay. Okay, if you can see the phrases there, we all need money, something that we like. Okay, those are the phrases that shows a very appropriate tone for this essay. Again, this essay is a factual essay, so everything has to be very objective. Okay, it should not sound casual. It should sound quite formal. Okay. All right. We need to use it wisely. Okay, that is one way of talking about um, the tone or even the register of the essay. Okay. As for me, if I have the money, okay, so that is also communicative achievement. Okay, let's look at the organization now. Why is it 5? Okay, very good use of, effective use of connectors. Okay, if you can see, as you can see there, the word therefore. Okay, it's nicely, smoothly joining those two sentences. Okay, the use of, for example, the use of moreover, and the use of in that way. Okay, so it's very clear that those are examples of effective use of connectors, and this candidate managed to get a 5. Okay, how about his language? Okay, this person's language. Okay, as you can see there, he has quite a complex sentences right in the beginning. Okay, we all need money in order to make something that to buy something that we like. Okay, this looks very simple, but that's actually what we call a compound sentence. Again, longer sentence does not mean that it can show off your ability of language, but if you can do it effectively, it will definitely help in your language marks. Okay, and then this person used we need to use it wisely. Okay, we need to use it wisely. Okay, so when this person use we need to use it wisely, okay, it shows that the ability of using what we call financial or money kind of phrases. Okay, all right. And also other strong phrases lah, like the reasons why I want to, it would be amazing. Okay, all right. That is how this person get a 5 for the language marks. Okay. Thank you, Prit. That is a good comment. Okay, let's look at the question here. From your teacher, I think. Teacher, must we all use the point given? What I mean is, can I change the point given on my idea? Okay. Okay. You must use all the points given. That is no argument for that. But you can always improve your argument. You improve your point. Okay. That's not what we call. To be on the safe side, just use all the points given. There's no compromise on that. Okay. Okay, let's look at another question. Teacher, if we write an essay in excess of words given, will the marks be deducted? No. Okay, there's no such thing as penalizing you for word counts that beyond the limit. No, we will not penalize you for that. Okay, but the problem with excess of words given, we need to know how long does this excess we're talking about. Okay, so you can go over, but my suggestion would be, or my recommendation would be, do not go longer than the answer sheets that they have given you. Okay, so if you have written your answers in all, have made sure that all the answer sheets are being used, fine. Okay, but if you go over the space that's given for you for that write-up, then it's going to be a problem. Okay, Farah? Thank you for the questions. I hope more questions are coming in. Okay. All right, let's move on, I think. Okay, this is a sample of things that, this is a sample of things that you need to, what we call not quite good, okay, for an essay. Okay, so if you can see the content only 3, okay, let's look at why does this examiner give this candidate only 3 marks for the content. Okay, the reason why you must to save your money, okay, because we can buy anything with the money. Money can make you survive when you at the when the to buy thing that you must have. Okay, I would like to buy a pair of shoes because outside there have any logo or any brand that make me so interested about that. Okay, the design about any type of shoes has a unique design and the quality is not same. I usually buy this thing at a shop or I search an online shopper. Okay, it has a different price between buying at the shop and buying online. Okay, so why content is only 3? Okay, so this person only mentioned buying a shoe. Okay, she's going to buy a pair of shoes. Okay, so she's talking about unique design and quality is not the same. And she mentioned about she's going to buy it at by using an online shopper service or perhaps a personal shopper service. Okay, so she did not mention the 3 things. Okay, she just mentioned only buying, what are the items that she's going to buy, where that she's going to buy it, but she did not mention the third thing, which is why is she buying the shoes. Okay, all right. So if she didn't give reasons, then the content is not fulfilled. The task is not completely fulfilled. It is fulfilled, but it's only partially fulfilled. Okay, and then we have communicative achievement. Okay, so because again, as you can see, that I struggle quite a bit when reading this essay. The communicative achievement is 3 because it's very difficult for you to understand where does the sentence stop. Okay, the sentences has a lot of run-ons. Run-ons means that it keeps on going without clear direction. So, and sometimes the conjunction even for the word because, okay, it's, I think the word because and somewhere it's quite difficult for you to give a good mark lah. Okay, because right at the front of the sentence. Okay. Next one is organization. As you can see, this person used some of the conjunctions like the word because, that, this thing. Okay, tried to show some reference, but they are not that strong. Okay, so for this candidate get a 2. And language, like I mentioned just now, because it's very difficult to read this essay, and there's quite a number of mistakes that's there. So this candidate gets a 2. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's move on. I think any questions before let me check if there's any questions. No. Okay, there's one question. Can we give more than one thing to buy? Of course, you can give more than one thing to buy. But for this kind of question, each thing that you want to suggest for this essay, you need to give all the 3 lah. For instance, if you give like, okay, if you say that you want to buy a guitar and a pair of shoes. Okay, so you need to provide reasons why you want to buy a guitar, why you want to buy a pair of shoes, where did you want to buy the guitar, and where did you want a pair of shoes. Okay, so for this kind of essay, you cannot touch and go. You have to go in depth. Okay, so you can give more, but make sure that you can go in depth as well, and make sure you can manage your time well. Okay. All right. If there's no any other question, I think that we can move on. Okay. Okay, we are moving on to the next part of the lesson. We are already in part 3. Okay. We are done with part 2. Now we are in part 3. Okay. This is one of the examples. I think this is example of writing a story, and writing a story has seemed to be the most chosen question for students. Okay, so I think it's important that you know how to write story well. Okay, because it has always been your fallback question if you do not know how to answer other questions. Okay, all right, so let's look at task part 3. Your teacher has asked you to write a story for a school magazine. Okay, the story must have the title "A Dream Comes True," and your story should include a description of the dream, how the dream is achieved. Okay, if you are free and if your device is free and you can type on your live chat section, can you describe to me what does this question mean? Okay, a dream comes true. What does that mean? Does it mean A? Is it about an ambition or a life goal that you have always wanted and you achieved it? Or a B, a dream that you experienced when you were asleep and you are going to describe them? So, on your live chat section, choose whether you think a dream comes true is a life goal that you have finally achieved, an ultimate goal of things that you want to achieve, and B, the dream that you experience in your sleep. Okay, if you could share your answer on the live chat section, that would be great. Is it A or B? Okay, I'm waiting for your answer in your live chat section. Okay, let's look at your answers. Okay, Farah answered A. Muhammad Haziq answered A. Izzah answered A. Akila answered A. Azza Arifin answered B. Okay. Let's look at who is A. Okay. For this kind of essay, they are talking about A. Okay. An ultimate goal of life that you have achieved. Okay. Why am I asking you this? Is because I have experience of using this question not just for Form 5 students. I've used this for Form 3 and Form 4 students, even Form 2 sometimes. But I managed to get quite a mixed interpretation of the question. And I never thought that this kind of question would make a student think that it's about a dream about inner sleep. It's actually about a life goal, an ultimate goal that you have finally achieved. Okay? All right. So be careful when you are answering question because you always thought that story is the easiest. Okay, you want to try story, but story is what we call a bit tricky when it comes to CFR questions because they like to give this some sort of what we call quite similar words to other things, and then you interpret it wrongly, and then you cannot get good marks. Okay, so be very careful when you're interpreting question. Okay, now let's look at the next slide. Okay, we have a quiz for the next slide. Ready? Okay. Do you plan when you write your story? I just want to know whether you plan your story or not. Okay. Right, most of you plan your story. That's good. Okay, so I hope this is an honest answer because I know how. Especially my students, they always think that it's tedious to plan for a story, and then somehow when they in the middle of writing, they become blank and they cannot finish the essay. And that happened. So please make sure that you plan your story, and if you are planning, you have been planning your essay. That is a good practice. Okay, please continue. Okay, so we are moving on to the next slide. Oh, another question. Okay. Okay, what tenses should we use when we write a story? When writing a story, what tenses should we use? Okay. What tenses? Okay, this time the minority wins. Okay, it's actually both past and present tenses for writing a story. Okay, you know when okay, before I move on to the next slide, when I say we need to use both past and present tenses, okay, we both know that for story writing it's always been past tenses. Okay, when do we use present tenses in story? When do we use present tenses in your story? Okay, if you know, can you share the answer on the live chat section? That'd be great. We can share and discuss with everyone about when do we use present tenses for story. Okay, I'm just going to continue the presentation, and later I'm going to come back to the live chat section. Okay. Okay. Let's look at writing a story, a strong story. Okay. Writing a story is not enough. You need to be able to write a strong story. Okay. So when you write a strong story, the first one that you need to do is that you have to follow a complete plot. Okay. What is a plot? A plot is when you're able to talk about or write a story based on the five stages of writing. Okay, the first one is exposition or introduction. Second one is rising action that's leading to climax. The third one is the climax. The fourth one is the falling action, and the fifth is the resolution. Okay, that is a nice complete plot. Okay. That's what you need to do when you are writing a story. Okay, your story has to follow that plan or that plot. If it's not, then it's normally that your story would be incomplete. And if it's incomplete, it's very difficult for you to get a content marks of 5. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see if we have any answer for that one. Let's look at your friend answer. Okay, Mugi said, why do we have present and past tense in a story? He said because when the story aren't happening yet. Is that really the reason? Okay. Why do we have both present and past tense? It's because for past tense, it's always been the verbs lah, because it's already happened. But for present tense, it's normally because when we use direct speech or what we call dialogue. Okay, when you use dialogue, you need to use, for instance, if it's a direct speech or the dialogue, you need to use present tense. Okay. Besides all that, then there will be present tense, past tense. Okay. All right. The next tip is past tenses, past simple, past continuous, and past perfect. Okay, so you need to address past tenses more, but also don't forget your present tense for your direct speech. And last but not least is show, don't tell. Okay. All right. Okay, feel free to ask questions on the live chat section if you have any. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this is where this is what that I've been talking about just now. Okay, when you're writing a story, you need to have all 5 stages. Okay, the first one is exposition. Okay, exposition is what we call the beginning. Okay, the beginning is setting, time, place, or society, meaning that you need to create a background knowledge of setting or about a story. Okay, so when it's a setting, it could be a time, a place, or a society. Okay, if you want to talk about, for instance, if you want to talk about something in the past, like the one in 19th or 18th century, so everything has to be, the groundwork has to be done here in the exposition. It has to be told in the beginning of the story. Okay, or even if you want to talk about a society in a space. Okay, so it has to be in the exposition stage. It cannot be somewhere else. Okay, you need to prepare your reader with the setting that you want them to know. Okay, and also it's very wise for the beginning of the story to introduce the characters. Okay, how do you introduce a character? Okay, so when we use we want to introduce characters. Okay, we normally would talk about the adjectives. Okay, firstly, we are going to talk about the physical attributes of a person. Perhaps this person is short and stout with thick black hair, with such menacing black, with such menacing eyes. Okay, so that's how you introduce characters. Okay, so when you're introducing characters, you need to be able to, again, prepare the reader whether this character is a villain. Villain means orang jahat lah, or whether they are the protagonist, the hero or the heroine of the story. Okay, so that's where you put the groundwork in the exposition in that paragraph. Okay. Next, after you talk about all the setting and characters, you move on to rising action. Okay, rising action is when the conflict between characters are emerging. Okay, conflict between characters are emerging, because what good of a story if it does not have any conflict? It must have a conflict so that you would have a dramatic turning point. Okay, so this is where the rising action is normally happening. Okay, why are these characters conflicting with each other? Okay. Next one, after we move past the rising action, we have climax. Okay. Climax is the most dramatic point. Okay, we have conflict and tension intensifies here, and also the turning point. Okay, so if the conflict is already emerging in the rising action, when it comes to climax, it becomes intensified. Okay, meaning that it becomes worse. The conflict and the tension becomes worse, and this is where the turning point is. Meaning that to say that in the climax there is a change of sequence of events that things are going to uncover. Okay, in the next stages of the story. Okay. After that, they have a falling action. Okay, this is when the conflict starts to resolve. Okay, this starts to resolve, not actually resolved yet. Meaning to say that the characters finally found peace with each other and they start to move on with their lives. They're not that much of at each other's throats anymore, that sort of thing. Okay, and lastly is the resolution. Resolution is where you put all the closure for all the characters. Okay, closure means kesudahan lah. Okay, kesudahan untuk kesemua watak. Okay, so you need to follow all this plan when you are writing a story. Okay, so if you didn't have all this, if you didn't plan your writing, especially your story, it's very difficult for you to be stuck. It's very easy for you to be stuck halfway, and if you're stuck halfway, then some students, they tend to change questions right in the middle, and then they don't have time to actually finish that question, and your teacher would be left with 2 unfinished scripts. Okay, so be very careful when you are writing a story. The reason why you are planning your story is that at this plan stage, then you know whether you can write this whole story through and through or not. Okay, so if you can't even finish planning your story, means that this is not the question that you should attempt for. Okay, it's a good indicator that whether this is a good good question to attempt for or not when you are planning for a story. Okay, all right, let me see if I can see any question. Okay, not yet, no question. Okay, let's look at the task. Okay, we are coming back to the task. Your teacher has asked you to write a story for a school magazine. The story must have the title, A Dream Comes True. Your story should include a description of the dream and how the dream is achieved. And then you need to write the story. Okay? Okay, this is something that I've prepared. I've prepared for you. I mean, to make sense of the whole plot triangle. Okay? So based on the question just now, okay, a dream comes true. This is what I have prepared. Let me make sure it's enlarged. Okay. Hi. We have found we managed to find someone from Sabah that just joining us. Good day to you. Thank you for joining us. Okay. Okay. Let's look at the plot triangle. Okay. Okay, the exposition, the example of the answer for this type of essay is the first one, Ahmad. Okay, this there's this character of Ahmad. Okay, perhaps Ahmad is a very artistic kind of person. Okay, he likes to draw, he likes to paint, and then Ahmad wanted to be like Banksy. Banksy is like a very famous London artist, street artist, I think, whose art sparked societal change. Okay, so he wanted to be like Banksy lah, this very well-renowned London artist. Okay, Ahmad always dreamt of becoming an artist who paints pictures. Okay, Ahmad is born and raised in a traditional Malay family. Again, this is a setting for a society, and Ahmad is a small town boy. Okay, rising action. Ahmad's father wanted him to take over his sundry shop. Okay, no one in Ahmad's sundry shop means like a grocery shop lah. Okay, no one in Ahmad's family neither understand nor support his trade. Okay, so that is the conflict of the characters there lah, meaning that the father wanted him to inherit his sundry shop, but he and also the whole family did not understand why does Ahmad wanted to become a painter. Okay, it's typical Asian family lah. And then for climax, Ahmad was commissioned for an art for a newspaper, and then Ahmad's father strongly opposed this behavior, this ambition of him, and then Ahmad left his family to chase his dream. Okay, so this is the turning point lah. Ahmad finally made the decision to leave his family and then chase his dream. And then the following action, Ahmad became a well-known artist. Ahmad's father finally accepted Ahmad's dream. Okay, and then the resolution is Ahmad published a series of art piece of his life in a Malay village. So this is how a story should come together. Okay, so in a very what we call clean flow. Okay, so why is flow very important for CEFR-KSSM? It's because again, you have all these elements when we have all these elements when we mark your paper, and this flow comes under organization. So this, although this is only organization, it will not affect others. But if your organization is chaotic or haywire, it will definitely affect your CA, communicative achievement, and also your language after that. So do not see this content, communicative achievement, language, and also organization as a different or separate entity. They all come together and they will affect one another. Okay? All right, so far, any questions? No, not yet, no questions. Okay, I think we can move on to the next slide. Okay, so so far when we are writing a story, you need to remember the first thing is the tenses. Okay, the second one is the plot. Okay, decide the tenses, the plot. Okay, the plot is going to help you with content marks as well. Okay, so if you plan your writing, it's easier for you to get full content marks. Okay, now another trick that I taught my students is when you are writing an essay, you need to be able to show but not tell. Okay, writing a story is very special. They are special because it's something that we pay attention to because it's something very creative. And when we receive questions or even scripts for story, I mean, as a teacher, I would always love to read a good story. Okay, it's quite different from other genre. Okay, it's a genre that could show your creative side. So if you want to show your creativity, okay, when you are writing, you need to be able to show me rather than telling me. Okay, what does show and tell mean? Okay, show means that you tap into the reader's imagination. You tap into their imagery. Okay, I'm giving you an example. You are reading, I don't know, a Malay novel or English novel, and the writer almost always use this technique of wanting to try to invigorate or even try to tap into your visual. Okay, visual or even your five senses, like your smell, your touch, your taste, all the things that the authors do. Okay, so when you are writing, you need to show rather than telling us. Okay, how you show your reader. Okay, for instance, the dry orange leaves crunched under my feet as I pull the collar up on my coat. Okay, so that is a show sentence. How about a tell sentence? I walked through the forest, it was already fall, and I was getting cold. Okay, those two sentences meant the same, but from show and tell. Okay, before I tell you, which one that has more effects on your imagery? Is it a show sentence or a tell sentence? Okay, you can share your answers on your live chat section. Okay, so which one that speaks to you more as a reader? Is it a show sentence or a tell sentence? Okay, you can share the answer on the live chat section. Okay, which one has more effect? Show sentence or tell sentences? Show sentences or tell sentences? Okay, it says show. Anyone else? Anybody has answers for that one? Okay, which one has more effects? Show sentences or tell sentences? Show. Okay, keep coming in. Keep them coming. Okay, yes. For this question, show sentences has more effects on the reader rather than the tell sentences. So when you are writing a story, please focus on how to write show sentences. Okay, your teachers also already answered as well. Okay, very good. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next. Okay, let's look at another show sentence. As his mother switched off the light and left the room, Michael tensed. He huddled under the covers, gripped the sheets, and held his breath as the wind brushed past the curtain. Okay, so when you read the sentences, it's very clear to have a sense of frightening when you read the sentences. But if you read this one, Michael was terribly afraid of the dark. Does it have any effect on you? I don't know. For me, it doesn't. It's just you stating a fact or stating your state of mind that time. Okay. All right. Okay. How are you going to write a show sentence? Okay. The first thing that you need to do when you are writing a show sentence is that you need to create a sense of setting. Okay. So, for instance, if you want to talk about if you want to talk about the setting of Malay village, for instance, okay, you could talk about the air. Perhaps as I walk past the paddy field, I can smell the crisp air of fresh oxygen coming through me, and then I can hear the sound of birds chirping, as well as the green paddy field that's in front of me, that's giving me such nostalgic memories of my grandparents. So you need to be able to give a sense of setting, okay, when you are writing a show sentences. All right. Second, you can use dialogue to show character. This is something that my students always used to. Okay, use dialogue. Okay, but again, be careful when you're writing dialogue. Okay, because sometimes you need to use specific paragraphs for dialogue. Okay, if in doubt, always describe action. Okay, so if you are not really sure how to do it, perhaps describe an action. And use strong details, but don't overdo it. Again, show sentences is not expected in every paragraph, meaning that show sentences are merely for an effect. So I would suggest my students normally writing short sentences for stages of story of during climax, for instance, or even during exposition, during the beginning. You are trying to what we call attract the reader, trying to gauge their attention. So show sentences are most effective in exposition and also climax. You can do it in other stages too, but if you're in doubt, write show sentences for exposition and climax stage. Okay. Yes, sure, but that is easy, of course lah. But then, you have to know lah. If you're writing a story, you need to master the skill of writing a show sentences. That is very important. Okay. All right. Okay, we have a question. We have a quiz right after. Please get ready. Okay, which of these sentences are show sentences? Well, okay, somebody is chasing Yasmin Hanani. Yasmin Hanani is still the champion so far. Okay, so show sentences here is John wiped his tears down his, and then the house smelled like dust. Okay, if in doubt, the show sentences normally the longer ones lah, not the short ones. Okay, all right. I'm looking at the live chat section if there's any comment or question. Not yet. So if you have any questions, just shoot in the live chat section. Okay, just do that. I don't have to wait. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, we are moving on to film review. I'm not sure if you have learned film review before, but before film review, I think that it's important for you to know what a film review is. Okay, for this, I think that we are going to do a little bit of a video lesson exercise. If you could perhaps make sure that you adjust your volume level to the maximum level so that it's very clear for you to listen to. Okay, let me change the display. Okay. Okay, we are going to try this one. Okay, for this exercise, let's try to answer in live chat section. Okay, whether you can actually understand what the film is about. Okay, I'm going to play the audio, the video again so that you can catch the answer. If you know the answer, share it on live chat section already. Okay, let me rectify that. That's a network error. I'm so sorry for that. Let's play the game. Okay. Okay, what are the genres of Parasite? Okay. There are black comedy, family drama, romantic comedy, or horror. Okay, so you can select the right answers. If you know the answer already, you can already share the answer in the live chat section. Okay. What's the genre? Is it a black comedy or a family drama? Okay, let me start with this one. It's black comedy and black family drama. Okay, let's see if that's the correct one. Okay, that is the genre. Okay, the genre of a movie. All right. Okay, some of you complain that you can't hear the voice. Okay, let me check if I can rectify it. Okay. All right. Thank you for letting me know.
For a family in a really nice neighborhood, a wealthy upper class family, of course, they're going to seize this opportunity with both hands. So one of the family members begins working in the wealthy household, then recommends their sibling, then the sibling recommends their parent, then the parent recommends their other parent, and before you know, the entire family is working within the household. The way I described it is way too normal.
Okay, which element of the film is she talking about? Okay, is she talking about the character, the plot, or the soundtrack? Okay, let me play it again if you missed it.
Written and directed by Bong Joon. About this down on their luck family, mother, father, daughter, son. The four of them are, they're not doing so well in their day-to-day lives. They're not living in the nicest part of town. But when they come across an opportunity to work for a family in a really nice neighborhood, a wealthy upper class family, of course, they're going to seize this opportunity with both hands. So one of the family members begins working in the wealthy household, then recommends their sibling, then sibling recommends their parent, then parent recommends their other parent, and before you know, the entire family is working within the household. The way I described it is way too normal.
Okay. Which element of the film is she talking about? Select the right answer. Okay, you can share your answers on the live chat section. Okay. Is she talking about the character, the plot, or the soundtrack? Okay, what was she talking about? Okay. Your teacher has answered the plot. Okay, let's look at other answers. Okay, Atika said the plot. All right, let's see if that's the correct one. Very good. Okay, that is the plot. Okay, let's move on.
Normal and mundane, because this film has a lot of twists and turns and kind of unfolds in a way that you wouldn't expect. It's kind of one of those rides that you just have to hold on, keep your arms and legs inside the carriage, and just hold on for dear life. What is so great about this film is first and foremost the characters. Each of the characters, every single family member of both the poorer family and the family with more money, they're all so incredibly human. It's not just that there is one family with less money and one family with more money, and they're kind of polar opposites of each other. Each of them have personalities. There's no stereotyping here. They all have so many layers. They all are imperfect in their own way. For example, the rich father is kind of arrogant and aloof and cold. He's easy to dislike, but he does have his moments of vulnerability later on, and you do see that he is a good person. There's a scene earlier on in the film where the son, Kevin...
Okay, which element of the film that is being discussed here? Is it the plot, the characters, or the soundtrack? Okay, share your answers on the live chat section. For this part, what was the answer? Okay, which element of the film that is being discussed here? Okay, the characters. Let's look at if we can find any other answers. Very good. Okay, quite a number of you answered characters. Okay, let's see if that's the correct answer. Very good. All right, next one.
Son, Kevin, has some documents forged to say that he's a college-educated tutor when he's not. And the father is so impressed with the son's tenacity and the quality of these forged documents. He's really genuinely proud of his son in this moment, and it's really quite touching. So even though the family are all in on this sort of deceitful hoodwinking of the wealthy family, they have, they're just looking out for each other, and they're just trying to do the best that they can. And it's moments like these, squeezed between that necessity of survival and having to put food on the table, that make the film so touching and also really bleak and sad as well. There you have it.
Okay, what is she talking about here? Okay, the highlight of the film, the beautiful cinematography, or the awesome soundtrack? What do you think that she's talking about in this stage? Okay, for this one, let's see. Let's wait for the answers to come in. All right. Some of you answered the highlight of the film. Very good. Okay, the answer is the highlight of the film.
There you have it, guys. They are my thoughts on Bong Joon-ho's latest brilliant film, Parasite. Certainly right up there with one of the best things I've seen all year. It is so beautifully done with such a light touch in the places that you want a light hand, and then it kind of goes really, really super crazy and is very visceral as a film as we go later on, and it leaves you just, I was probably shaking my head a lot and doing this face a lot. Yeah, a lot. Don't forget, you can also...
Okay, so what she did here is recommending the film. Okay.
Don't forget, you can also subscribe to my channel.
All right, so that's that. Okay. Right. The reason why I'm asking you to participate in that question session in the video lesson is because that when you are writing a film review, you need to be able to talk about all these elements. Okay. The first thing that you need to talk about is the plot. Second is the characters. Third, perhaps the highlights of the movie, and the last one would be the recommendation, whether you want to recommend this to your friends or not. Okay, so this is the kind of question. Let me change the setting a bit so that it's clearer. Okay, so this is almost like the type of question that they will ask for film review. Okay, part 3, again, this is another choice of a question. Okay, so the question would normally ask, you recently saw this notice in a magazine. So when you're talking about magazine, so you have to consider your audience lah, how your tone and style would be. Is it formal or informal or somewhere in the middle? And also the tenses. Okay, have you watched any interesting movies lately? Send us your movie review. Okay, so when we are talking about movie review, you need to be able to talk about the genre, the one that we did in the first part of the video lesson. Okay, the genre could be a romantic comedy, or could be a horror, could be action, could be adventure. Okay, so you need to be able to talk about the genre, then you be able to get a good vocabulary mark. Okay, and then you need to be able to talk about the adjectives: amusing, cliche, etc. Okay, and then the next part of the question is, say what you enjoyed about the movie. Okay, so when you want to talk about say what you enjoyed about the movie, the vocabulary to help you to describe could be parts in the movie. Okay, it could be in the beginning, the climax, or in the ending. Or elements in the movie. It could be narrative or cinematography. Cinematography is what we call the aesthetic aspects of the movie. Perhaps it could be the camera work, or it could be the setting that's really beautiful. Okay, it's normally cinematography. It's normally the visual of the movie. And then next one, would you recommend the movie to your friends? Why? So when you are recommending to your friend, your grammar structure will be, I would highly recommend, or it is well worth seeing, or it is a boring movie. Okay, and the best reviews will be published in our newsletter. So when you are planning to write a review, you need to have this sort of a plan when you are looking at the question. Okay, you cannot straight away write. You need to have all these things lined up first and then start writing. Okay, so this is the example of the movie review, of a film review. The example is, it could be the first paragraph, you introduce notable casts. Cast means the actors. Okay, pelakon. Ola Bola is a Malaysian film directed by Chew Keng Guan. It is a sports film, something, yada yada. Okay, so that's how you introduce a review. After that, you talk about the second paragraph, talk about the brief synopsis or a plot. Do not write too long. It should be a brief synopsis, a very quick synopsis. And then talk about one significant highlight of the movie, meaning to say, what's the highlight that you want to mention here? Okay, in this story, in this Ola Bola, its highlight is the match between Malaysia and South Korea, in which Malaysia wins and qualifies for the 1980 Olympics. Okay, the third paragraph is what makes the movie stood out. Okay, so you can talk about, like I mentioned just now, it could be a narrative or a storyline. For Parasite, it's always the storyline. It's amazing, the storyline there. In this Ola Bola, it's a special feature of the film. It's the careful attention that was given to detail in order to make the 80s setting look authentic. Okay, and then lessons. You can talk about what you learned from the movie in paragraph 3. And the last paragraph is brief recommendation and final verdict. Okay, so what do you think of the movie overall? Would you recommend it to your friend? Would you not? Okay, so, and don't forget your title lah. Okay, title of the movie review when you are writing a movie review. So when you are attempting movie review, please remember that movie review is a bit more technical compared to the other genres. Okay, so if you are the kind of student, the kind of person that is always exposed to this kind of movie reviews, or you are the film fanatics, I think this is something very easy for you. But if it's not something that you are familiar with, I would suggest you not to try or not to attempt the question. Okay, so because it has some specific vocabulary, like of a genre, of elements of a film, and it needs those vocabulary to explain well. Okay, so be very careful when choosing review as your question for part 3. Okay, to sum up, when you're writing a film review, you need to have introduction, talk about film, the title, director, and cast. Paragraph 2, brief synopsis of a film. Paragraph 3 to 4, comments of what you like or didn't like. And paragraph 5, general opinion of the film. Okay, this is something that you probably will learn in Form 5, but I'm just going to touch and go this one because you're going to learn this next year. Okay, so reviews are not just only for films. Okay, it could be about holidays as well. In this case, if you can see the questions here. Okay, if you can see the questions here, We want reviews of holidays designed for teenagers. Your review should include information about the place, the food, and what activities there are. Would you recommend this holiday to other people your age? Okay, and the best reviews will be published in our magazine. Okay, so again, you need to know whether the tone is casual, semi-formal, or formal, and you have to fulfill all these tasks here mentioned about holidays designed for teenagers, about the place, food, and activities, and whether you would recommend it. Okay, so that's that. Okay, writing a holiday review, you need to paragraph 1, introduce name and location, indicate review as positive or negative. Paragraphs 2 and 4, describe and comment on the place, the food, and the activities. And paragraph 5, make your recommendation. Okay, I'm not going to go through this because you haven't learned this one yet in your Form 4, but this is how a holiday review look like. Okay. All right. All right, next one is the article. Okay, read the questions first. Okay, article for Travel and Nature magazine. Okay, tell us about nature reserve or place natural beauty that you know of. Describe the place, what attracts visitors to it, and special features. Okay, and then write us an article lah. Okay, remember for part 3, you are going to write for 200 and 250 words. Okay, this is the article. Okay, normally again, like the film review, you need to have the title, something very catchy. Okay, title that catches readers' attention. Okay, the first paragraph, perhaps you need to ask rhetorical question, like for example, have you ever wondered where those cute, cuddly giant pandas you see in zoos come from? Okay, so rhetorical questions means questions that want to raise readers' attention and also want them to think. Okay, it's not something that you have to answer in the essay. Okay, and then you need to use adjectives like, for example, cute, cuddly giant pandas, unforgettable, endangered, breathtaking, remarkable, and giant. And also address the reader personally by the end of the paragraph in the last paragraph. Okay, that is the article. Okay, the next one will be report writing. Okay, report writing, it's quite different from what we've learned in KBSM. Okay, so you always have a task here. Your teacher has asked you to write a report about your favorite TV channel, TV3, and suggest ways in which you could improve it. Okay, so when you're writing a report, don't forget you have to have to, okay, from, and also subject lah. Okay. And then when you're writing a report, do not forget that you need to have what we call a subheading here. Okay, so introduction. This report describes what we must do to improve the quality of the channel, local channel TV3. Okay, so sometimes I know that students, they struggle when they want to write subheading. Never mind. Normally I would ask my students to write the content first. Okay, and then after they have finished writing all the content, come back again to look at the content and try to name the subheading. But for number 1, it's always going to be introduction for report. Okay. Second one, to start with, we must do something about the long commercial breaks. We need to limit them considerably. Okay. So the subheading here is limit commercial breaks. And then the next one, in addition, we should add more variety to the daily program. Specifically, people have asked for more entertainment programs. Okay, for this one, the subheading is more entertainment programs. And finally, we should broadcast a special news report with local news only once a day. We will attract new viewers that way. Okay, so the subheading is include special news. And last one, to sum up, if we carry out the suggestions I have made, we will improve the quality of TV3. Okay, that will be the conclusion. Okay, I think this is your time to try to match the headings with its content. Okay, let's see if you can do that. Okay, get ready in your live chat section to try to answer this one. Okay, let's look at this one. A group of students from the UK are going to visit your town or city next month as a part of an exchange program. Your teacher has asked you to write a report about shopping and dining attractions in your town. Okay, in your live chat section, for number 1, which heading is suitable for the content there? This report is to inform and suggest the best shopping and culinary spots visit in Naples. The data presented in the report was gathered from local citizens as well as former visitors. Okay, choose the subheadings in the blue there, and then try to work out which one goes where. Okay, for number 1, what headings should it be for number 1? Okay, share your answer in the live chat section. For number 1, is it recommendation, budget-friendly eateries, where to find the best souvenirs, or introduction? Which heading do you think that's suitable for number 1? Okay, share your answer in the live chat section so that we can discuss together. Okay, let's see. Very good, Atika. Okay, let's see if she answered it. Okay, Atika answer introduction. Let's check if that is the correct one. Very good. Okay, very good, Atika. Well done. Okay, let's look at the next one. According to local residents, the best gifts can be found in small shops around Porto Alba Road. Visitors can find anything from classical gifts as cards or t-shirts to strange and bizarre presents like pasta in various sizes, forms, and colors. Moreover, these local shops are rather inexpensive. Inexpensive means it's cheap, so they are ideal for students on a limited budget. Okay, which one do you think is suitable for paragraph number 2? Is it recommendation, budget-friendly eateries, or where to find the best souvenirs? Share your answer in the live chat section. Okay, Farah said where to find the best souvenirs. Okay, let's check if that is the correct answer. Very good, that is the correct answer. Okay, we are left with 2 now. Okay, 2 to go. Okay, there is a famous Borini for its strong coffee, a tiny coffee shop that everyone has to visit when in Naples. Besides that, La Turbina, the house of greatest pizzas, is a typical Italian pizzeria that was featured in a few American blockbusters, hence 2 hours queue to get in. Last but not least, visitors could always enjoy Damari, a tasty and popular bakery in the heart of Naples, an ideal place for anyone with a sweet tooth. Okay, this one is quite clear, right? What's the answer for this one? Okay, for number 3, is it recommendation or budget-friendly eateries? Okay, most of your answer recommendation, but unfortunately, the answer is budget-friendly eateries. Okay, that is the answer. And last one is the recommendation. All things considered, a great number of Neapolitan shops and restaurants are rather cheap yet traditional. They are worth visiting, especially if one is unable to spend a fortune on souvenirs or food. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay. And lastly is the formal letter. Okay, this is the last genre that we are going to discuss. Okay, we are finally coming to an end. Okay, formal letter. This is something that you always found in your textbook, I think. Right, writing a formal letter, number one, you need to use proper greetings. Okay, dear sir, madam, dear editor. Okay, introduction, purpose of writing. If it's a response, mention it here. Paragraph 2 to 3 focus on the task and provide reasons as well as examples by making suggestions. And paragraph 3 summarize points and end letter politely. And lastly, to sign off, yours sincerely, etc. Okay. Okay, the letter could start with a formal greeting here. Yes, sir or madam. And then the first paragraph, you're going to talk about the purpose of writing a letter. Okay, I am a concerned resident and I'm writing in response to your article. Okay, as a response to something. Okay. And paragraph 3 and 4 is your points, and then it's about your opinions and reasons based on the question for the letter. And lastly, in conclusion, you summarize all points, and lastly is you signed off. Okay, that will be about formal letter. Okay, a quiz for you. Okay. Yes, dear sir, madam, dear Mr., Mrs., and XYZ is formal language. Okay, let's look at the next question. Okay, so for opening paragraph, if you're using how are you, how is it going, it's going to be informal language. Right, let's look at the next one. Okay, good work, everyone. Yes, thank you for considering my application. I'm available for an interview. Okay, those are the examples of formal language. And the last one. Congratulations, Yasmin Hanani. You are still on top. Okay. So the closing is talk to you soon and lots of love. Okay. All right. With that quiz, that marks the end of my session. Okay. Let's see if. Okay. All right. Let's see the top scorer. Who the top scorers are in this lesson. Okay. Okay, very well. Okay, the first one, congratulations to Yasmin Hanani. Okay, that is she is the top scorer of this session. And then we have Iza, Farah Atika, Iza Adira, Balkis, number 6 is Naila, number 7 is Lydia, and then Akila, and number 9 is Suchi, number 10 Anis, 11th Anur, 12th Amar, 13th Aina, 14th I guess, 15th Hanis, 16th Buhu, 17th Ismail, 18th Nurina, 19th for Akila, 20th Akila, 21st Suryati, 22nd Kila, 23rd Nurina, 24th, and so on. Okay, congratulations to everyone who's here, and even though you didn't have any points, thank you for joining the session, because if you're joining through the quizzes, you will get a whole of you can see the slides very clearly. Okay. I think that marks the end of my session. I think I should pass this to Cikgu Adlina, if that's possible. Cikgu?
Okay, thank you to Puan Atika for the interesting and enjoyable workshop today. Okay, I hope this workshop can help students to enhance their writing skill, especially for their coming SPM in 2022. Okay, so now I think all the students already can get a clear picture on how the writing paper for your SPM will look like. Okay, so I hope all the guidelines, all the tips given by Puan Atika can guide you to write an excellent essay in your SPM and get an Ace, okay, for your English paper. Okay. Before I end this workshop sessions, okay, I would like to thank again to Puan Atika for her willingness to share her knowledge, her tip, her secrets with us today. Okay, we hope that we can see you again, and you are again willing to share with us in the future. Okay, thank you for Atika again. Okay,
Sure,
thank you
no
for
worries.
all the participants.
All right.
Okay, thank you.